I had two questions. One question is, before I used to listen to a lot of music, right? And sometimes the lyrics come in my mind. Is it okay without, like, if I could, like, mumble it or say it or something? Like, sometimes, I just get bored. I start singing on my own, but then I get scared and then I be quiet because then I get scared that maybe, I become sinful. But there's no music to it. There's nothing. And second question, I know the difference between muddy and money. But I have a question, like if you wake up and if someone, like it's just a question, if someone sees muddy, does it need ghusl or not? These are my two questions.
Okay. With regards to the first question, Alhamdulillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took you away from listening to music since the four madahib, whether Imam Abu Hanifa or Al-Shafi'i or Malik or Ahmad ibn Hanbal are all in agreement that all musical instruments and playing music other than the daf during the weddings and the Eids is haram. They have agreed to that. So if Allah bless you and Alhamdulillah you're not listening to music and songs with music anymore, Alhamdulillah you're lucky. May Allah keep you and us steadfast. Secondly, singing on your own or for your husband, all of that is permissible, okay? As long as you're not playing music. And also, al-ghina or singing is mere speech, like somebody is reciting poetry. So it becomes lawful when the words are lawful. But when the words are bad and incite illicit relations and love among people who do not have legal relationship, then you're not even supposed to repeat it or mimic it or sing it on your own. There are a lot of beautiful songs. If you're singing on your own while you're doing the dishes, while doing your ironing or pressing the clothes, no problem. And a woman singing for her husband, no problem whatsoever. The words are lawful and no musical instruments. Enjoy it. MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. When you say that when somebody wakes up and sees wajh, al-wajh normally happens after passing urine. So the person would see the drop or two. So that doesn't happen when you're asleep. What happens when you're asleep is mainly al-mani, which happens as a result of seeing wet dreams. Then it would lead to sexual discharge. The person does not necessarily choose to have it, it just happens. This is what happens when a person, he or she, sees wet dreams, which we say it's even a sign of reaching the age of puberty. So if a person was asleep and woke up and find even the dried excretion of sexual discharge of al-mani, then they are required to perform ghusl, whether they remember that they had a wet dream or not. And when a person remembers for certain that I had a wet dream and remembers the details, but there is no signs of sexual discharge, then you're not required to perform ghusl. So what decides and determines the requirement of ghusl is the sexual discharge. While al-madhi normally happens when the person is awake and he is thinking and contemplating the sexual contact or something which would excite him or her, so there will be a sexual discharge without ejaculation, just a leak of some drop or two, which is known as madhi. And that doesn't require ghusl. It only requires what? It requires washing one's private part, and if their undergarment were moist or soiled, they need to wash that spot, and then they can pray. So what requires ghusl is sexual discharge, which happens as a result of ejaculation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what is